All right, we are live. The House of Horrors. We got our guest tonight, Camden Toy. How you doing tonight?
How's it going?
Great. Thank you for joining us. Glad
Thanks
you're
for
taking.
asking.
Oh, of course. I've known you for years now, and it's been so long. I had to get you on here, so I'm glad you could make it. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start asking you questions, and once people start popping in, we'll go ahead and answer theirs. So I just want to start out. When you first got into acting, when was that, and who was your inspiration? What kind of movies and shows were you into when you were younger?
Okay, I got into acting via makeup, actually, believe it or not. My father had been a makeup artist and an actor, and unfortunately, my mother got pregnant very early with me, and he had to kind of let go of some of those dreams. He tried, but unfortunately, I mean, he even went out to Los Angeles and tried to work with Wally Westmore, the head of Paramount Makeup,
Hmm.
and the makeup guild was closed at that time. He couldn't do it, so he had to go back. So they actually went back right before I was born to Pennsylvania. But I got into his makeup kit when I was very young, sometime early grade school. I don't remember exactly, first grade, second grade. I'm not sure exactly when. Um, and instead of him getting angry at me, he actually was kind of like, "Hey, you want me to show you how to use that?" And I'm like, "Okay, you know." So he and I would sit at my mother's dressing table, and we would do makeup together. And he would do the makeup on himself, and I would watch him, and I would mirror that. He wanted me to be doing the makeup on myself. He didn't want to do the makeup on me. So my first introduction to character was transformational makeup, like, old age and beards and putty noses and things like that. So when he said to me when I was in second or third grade, would you like to start taking acting classes? I was like, sure. So I started studying at the Pittsburgh Playhouse, which is where he studied when he was in his late teens, early 20s.
Hmm.
And when the summer between third and fourth grade, we moved into a smaller town called Delmont, Pennsylvania, and it just happened to be a small summer theater was opening that exact summer, in a large barn that had been converted into a theater. It was run by three producers based out of New York, and my family befriended those producers, and they let me, this little kid in summer between third and fourth grade, start hanging out there. And I hung out there every summer into my teens. And Harry Colley, who was the director there, was really one of my first inspirations, because I used to watch him direct and direct rehearsals. And they let me sit in on those things like that, as long as I wasn't making a lot of noise.
Right.
Yeah, so he was one of my first inspirations. As for the films I was seeing, I was a huge fan of the Universal monster films, because of the makeup. My interest in makeup. I loved the Mummy. Frankenstein was like fascinating to me. The makeup for Frankenstein, the Wolf Man. I just loved all those Universal monster. And when I was about fifth grade, Dick Smith came out with his monster makeup handbook. Are you familiar with that? I don't know if you.
I haven't, but I think I remember you mentioning it one time, but I've never read it or anything. But
Yeah. Well, Dick Smith, of course, is a legendary makeup artist. He like pioneered prosthetic makeup. But he's a god in the makeup circles. But when I was around fifth grade, he Famous Monsters of Filmland published his little booklet in magazine form. It was called Dick Smith's Monster Makeup Handbook, and I just dove on that when I saw it. I think it was 50 cents.
right.
It was like, at the local pharmacy where they sold magazines. There it was. I was just like, um, and I just had a ball, doing monster makeups. So
Hmm.
those are probably some of my earliest um, um, influences.
Hmm. Yeah, you remember like any of those tips you could give us, like when you were a kid, from that booklet of like something easy we could do with it, or?
Oh, one of my favorite makeup was called liquid latex stipple with cotton. And that was a very simple. What it was is you would stretch an area of skin that you wanted to wrinkle, right? And
Mhm.
you would put adhesive there, and then you would put cotton, like you'd get those rolls of cotton, you know what I mean? Not cotton balls, but rolls of cotton, and
Yeah.
Right.
you'd put the like a large piece of cotton on that. Uh, Adhesive, but with the fibers in the direction you want the wrinkle, and then you let that dry, and then you pull off all the cotton, so everything is off except just teeny bits of fiber, just teeny bits of fiber. You then you like then stretch that. You put liquid latex on there, and then you dry it with a hair dryer, and when you let it go, it goes into wrinkles, and you can do that
Ooh.
all over your face and neck. And for somebody who was like fifth grade, to be able to make yourself look old was like, yeah.
I'm an 80-year-old, 90-year-old
Well,
man.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it used to really freak people out, because like I would be like I would do this kind of stuff after school, and then I'd sit and watch, like, after school, television, and like, people would come home, and like my father come home and like, hey, how's it going? I go, oh, fine, and I would be like an old man.
I just aged 100 years, but I'm good, thank you. Boom, you want to go ahead? We can go ahead and switch if you got anything.
Um, I actually never was real big. I just started watching Buffy the last couple days. I never really was into it, but I actually was fan of you with the Bedeviled. Yeah, I really liked
Oh
that
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. That
probably
was
not saying the name right,
that
but
was a fun film. Yeah, that was a fun film. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I would say you'd like all the monsters in that. I think that movie's really underrated. That all the monsters in that are just really well done.
Yeah, yeah. That was Robert Hall that did the makeup on that, I believe, and he unfortunately has since passed
Passed
away.
away, yeah.
Yeah, it was very tragic. Um, yeah, but he was just a brilliant. When I first met him, I met him on season 7, when I did the character Gnarl for Buffy's episode 3, season 7, same time, same place. And he was in his 20s. He was a kid, and he was so professional and so talented. He whipped the makeup, and that was not just that was a facial makeup with huge nose and cheeks and chin and like long fingernails and like
Yeah.
extensions on my fingers, and then a full bodysuit, with like hands and like booties, and he put that all together in like about 3.5 hours, which is
Oh, really?
unheard of. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
he knew it was going to be a huge job. A job like that generally takes 6, 7, 8 hours. But he knew it was going to be a big job, so he had a lot of assistants come in and help him, assist me getting into the suit and whatnot. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I actually just watched that like not more than a half hour ago because I wanted to see some of the episodes that you were in.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite monsters I think I've ever portrayed.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions. What was the favorite monster you've ever done?
Yeah, well, gnarl, because no pun intended. There was a lot of meat to sink your teeth into on that character.
Poor Willow.
I know. Um, but Jane Espenson wrote such an amazing script for that, and I remember when I first got the script, I was very lucky. I got the sides. The sides, for those that you don't know, the sides are just the couple pages of a scene that they want you to do in an audition. They very rarely, when you're auditioning for something, give you the entire script. It does happen occasionally, but it's rare. So they usually just give you the couple pages, and they call those the sides. And I got the sides on a Friday, which means I had Saturday and Sunday to play with it before we auditioned on Monday, which was very lucky. Often you get the sides the day before, or sometimes the same day, and you don't really have time to really develop, what's going on. And I'm really a big believer that scripts, a really good script like Jane's script for that episode, will tell you what it needs. if you just listen, and that's a lot, it takes a lot of patience. You have to like really play with it and play with the words and feel how the words feel in your mouth. And slowly I started like realizing, oh, like right here, I'm kind of taunting her. And it sort of came out, no one comes to save you. You know, it kind of, and I was just like, yeah. And then later when I got cast and they were doing the makeup and everything ahead of time, they gave me a second pair of teeth and a second pair of finger extensions. And I was like, what would I do with these? I would like, oh, I'd probably like, oh, I love a gifty. Can't wait to unwrap it. You know, so, you know, certain things come out of the script, certain things come out of the makeup. There was like all these things that, you know, that just, and then, so by the time I was on set in full makeup and the teeth and the finger extensions and the full sclera eye lenses, I was having way too much fun with this role.
Definitely that and the gentleman, those two were my favorite. Gnarl and then the gentleman, those two were the best. I think.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the gentleman was really spooky. I saw that one today too.
Yeah, that was a very special episode because of course Joss was known for his pithy dialogue, and you know, and so here he is, he's doing an episode where most of the episode is silent. Very daring. You know, it's one of the, and it's truly an experiment. And you know, with experiments, you never know, are they going to work? Are they not going to work? And of course, it totally worked beyond anybody's wildest dreams. But it was one of those amazing things. I remember when I got the call for the audition, they were like, okay, Buffy the Vampire Slayer wants to see you tonight at 6:30. And I'm like, tonight? But because usually usually it's not the same day. Usually it's like a day or two ahead of time. You know, you have a little bit of time to. I said, what about a script? My agent was like, there is no script, just go. And I'm like, okay, this sounds bad.
There's no script. We're just going to improv the whole thing.
So I'm walking in with no preparation. I don't know what I'm walking into, and that's scary for an actor. You know, I mean, it's like, so basically, and I think at that time it was called The Laughing Men, I think, and so we walked in, and Lonnie Hammerman, one of the casting directors, was like, this is going to be a totally silent episode. There is not going to be any laughing. So we're probably going to change that name. So don't laugh in the audition. But the audition was basically, she said it's going to be an improv where you're going to float in. I'm like, float? Oh, okay, float. You're going to float in, and you're going to have a doctor's bag, and you're going to take out of the bag a scalpel, and you're going to cut this young man's heart out, take the heart, and then you're going to float back out again. And all the while, smiling. So I'm like, okay. So I do this improv, and because of my physical background, you know, I have a background in, you know, in European clowning and mime and martial arts and a lot of different, you know, physicalities. I find a way to sort of approximate floating. And that's kind of by moving, when you move your legs just from the knee down, but not from the knee up, you can actually get this sensation that you're floating. So I do that, and I take out the scalpel, and I cut his heart out, and I take the heart, and I float back out again. And Joss literally goes, okay, thank you. Oh God, I'm gonna have nightmares now. Okay, thank you. And I thought, oh boy, either I have the job or he thinks I'm a total psycho.
Well, in that case, actually, he thought you were a psycho good enough to be on the show. There you go. So it worked out. Either way, it worked out.
So I got the call, and I got the call, and I got the job. And in television, you don't really have a lot of time to develop character. So often, what you do in the audition is what you do on the show. And what we did, like what Doug Jones did, and what I did, and what Charlie Bramley did and what Don Lewis did in the audition was pretty much what we did on set. I saw Doug at the audition, but I did not really meet him because it's an audition. You don't really get a chance to like chat with people too much. You're too into your head and you're too like concentrated. But I actually finally meet him at the wardrobe fitting, and he and I hit it off immediately, and we've been fast friends ever since. And a lot of what we did in the movements and the smiling and everything was really very much what we did in the audition, and it was very much we did a lot of kind of nonverbal communication that we were doing together, and because of our physical backgrounds, it really worked. I think one of the first shots that they shot was us coming. We both floated in the room to cut out the young man's heart. And when they yelled cut, one of the crew members was like, I can't believe the communication you guys have, and you haven't said a word.
Yeah,
and we were both,
it was perfect.
and Doug and I were both like, oh, this is working. Okay, great. The funny thing about the smile is that the original makeup was plastered on smiles. I don't know if you remember, but there's 6 of us all together as the gentleman. There's 4 of us are the actors, and there's 2 stunt doubles. But 4 of them had plastered on smiles. I don't know if you remember that. And
That
Doug and
wasn't the
I.
straight jackets. Yeah.
No.
No,
I'm talking about the
Oh,
gentleman.
the other 2. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The other 4 gentlemen had plastered on smiles. There was no articulation or change in smile. And Doug and I had full articulation because when they were having Joss sign off on the makeup, Joss looked at it and went, well, we hired Camden and Doug because they scared me so much in the room with no makeup, with just their smiles, and now we're plastering over their smiles. No. You have to show Camden's smile and show Doug's smile, and so they figured out this way. They made these like little thin veneers that fit over our actual teeth. So it was actually our mouths that you actually saw, other than of course the very, very thin metal veneers that were on the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of the monsters you play, what's it like having to get in all that makeup and stuff?
It's a lot of patience, but because of my background in makeup, I developed a very huge love and respect for transformational makeup from the time I was very young, because of my father, really. I mean, and because of Dick Smith. So some people say they sleep while the makeup is being put on. I never found that to work for me. To me, it's an interactive. It's a collaboration. I was constantly checking in with the makeup artist. Is this feel? And they would be checking in with me. Is this feel right? Should I move this a little bit? Should I adjust this? How's the chin? Is this right? So it's partly the way it looks, but also it's partly the way it feels to me, the actor. And I've been very lucky. The makeup artists I've had have been willing to to work with me, and I've been willing to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So out of the 3, the Prince of Lies, the Uber Vamp, Gnarl, and the Gentleman, which one took the longest to put together on you?
I think for some reason the Uber Vamp did, even though it was not a full bodysuit. I think the Uber Vamp took about 5 hours. I think that because I was doing it for multiple episodes, Rob got it down to like 4, maybe, or something like that. But I think at first it was 5.5 hours, and I think it was because he was using the whole facial prosthetic was silicone, and the cowl was foam latex, and the wisdom at that time with makeup artists was that you really can't mix the 2 mediums. And Rob was like, watch me. Like I said, he was sort of the bad boy of makeup, and he defied a lot of people. But I think it took time to do that. But I'll I challenge you to find the seams in that makeup.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was a cowl with a facial prosthetic and a chest plate. So there were, three pieces, I guess, altogether. And of course there was the hands, which were huge. I put them on and I'd be like, rah, and they'd be like, Jesus, those are huge. They're like the size of my head.
Okay. Which episode was it that I remember hearing Sarah? She didn't even know who you were outside of the makeup because she had never seen you. Was that as the Uber Vamp, or which demon was it?
That was the Uber Vamp. The Uber Vamp we did. If we're not shooting in studio, which we shot a lot on location, we were always shooting at night because he's a vampire. So there were a lot of long night shoots that Sarah and I would be like hanging out together, and there would be a lot of time in between takes. So she and I got a chance to just sit and chat, even though this was the third character I did that she knew me with. But this is the one that I really got a chance to get to know her better.
Mhm.
And one so we're chatting, and then she's talking about a vacation that she and her husband had taken, and then she was like, I still don't know what you look like. And I was like, oh, that must be creepy. So yeah. So her makeup artist actually came into our makeup trailer the next day and asked Rob Hall if he had a photo of me, because Sarah would like to see me, see what I look like.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think there was one day that I came on set for some reason. I can't remember why, but I wasn't acting that day, so I was out of makeup. And I remember going up and saying, "Hey, Sarah," and she was like, "I was like, it's Camden, it's Camden." She was like, "Camden."
Oh, it's you.
So
She
yeah.
thought there's some stowaway onto the set. No, it's me.
Oh yeah. Because I was often there before anybody else was, and I was there after everybody else was, because I was like getting my makeup on early in the morning often, and then late at night I was getting it taken off, which is a lengthy process as well. Often security didn't know what I looked like. The craft service people didn't know what I looked like. The caterer didn't. So sometimes I'd be in line for the catering, and they give me this look like, who's this guy?
Sam, that monster, I'll get you. Feed me now.
Yeah.
So how was it eating and drinking through those masks and prosthetics?
Well, they're not masks; they're all prosthetic.
Or prosthetics, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Which is no, that's a mistake that a lot of people make. I remember as a kid reading in Famous Monsters of Filmland, Roddy McDowall in an interview, and he said that he would eat his meals with a mirror so he could watch what he was doing, so he wouldn't get the makeup, he wouldn't get the food in the makeup. And I took that to heart, and I remember that later as an adult, and I would do that. I would actually, I'd ask the makeup people for a mirror, and I would take it with me to our meals, and I would watch myself. And that's actually how because my job, I always believed that my job was to take care of the makeup once it's on my face. And unfortunately, the lips are often the first thing that starts becoming unglued. Almost always. I think, except for the Prince of Lies, because when I did the Prince of Lies, I had worked with Rob's company so many times that they knew me. And I said to the sculptor, I said, okay, I just want you to know that I'm going to be frowning a lot. I'm going to be, kind of miserable. So he took that he took that to heart and actually sculpted it very frowny. So I wasn't fighting the prosthetics with my expressions, which sometimes you are. Sometimes because when they sculpt the prosthetics, they don't always know what you're going to do as the actor. But I let him know ahead of time. So that was one of those rare cases where the lips rarely became unglued when I was doing the Prince of Lies, but they did often with the Ubervamp and with Gnarl. Yeah, yeah, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting food down in between the prosthetic and, and my skin. Yeah.
Right. So, Camden, I don't know if you remember, but you looked in the mirror and play with your expressions. I don't know if you remember that. The woman asked you about, you ever practice your expressions in the mirror?
Oh, you remember that story?
That was funny. Like, funny story.
That is a funny story. From the time I was very young, I realized I could make facial expressions and scare people,
Mm-hmm.
and just with my facial
Sorry.
expressions. And I never understood why that was scary, but I used to relish it. I used to really enjoy scaring people with just my my
Right.
expressions with no makeup. But so one day I'm practicing expressions in the mirror,
Right.
and suddenly it's as if it's this split second, as if like I've left my body and a demon like floated into my body, and I was like, ah! And then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's what it is when I do those expressions, my friends aren't seeing me anymore. They're seeing some other entity. And that's
Mm-hmm.
scary to see a friend of yours that you know really well. Suddenly they're not there, even though it's their body. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
happened to me very briefly. I got it. I was like, oh, that's creepy.
I remember actually doing that one time, like just looking into my eyes and like trying to be weird, and all of a sudden it almost looked like they were. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's
It can happen. Yeah, it can
yeah.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
I would say
Uh,
sorry about the barking. My dog had to be in the room with me, and she likes barking out the window.
That's okay.
uh, That's right. A brief story. I finally met Doug Jones a few years back, maybe about 4 or 5 now. But when I met him, he asked if it was my first convention and everything, and I'm like, "Oh no, I've done Buffy conventions. I worked with Camden Toy." And there was even this joke going around how I was his son, but we were joking about it. And he actually goes to me, he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. That's you. Pleasure to meet you." And I'm thinking, this is almost over a decade. You remember that story? I'm like, that was crazy. He's got a good memory apparently because he
Yeah, he
remembers
does. He does.
he remembers either something on Twitter or something I posted, and I'm just thinking over a decade. That's just crazy. I mean, I
I think
understand maybe a year or two. I mean, between he might remember, but I mean that was just a weird coincidence.
I think Doug has a good memory. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, Boom, go ahead.
What what got you to get into the different clowning backgrounds?
Well, when I was growing up, it was not unusual for our training as actors to get mime training, physical comedy training. I worked with Leonard Pitt, who uh, Leonard used to say, "I don't even want the word mime near me," because it conjures up, visions of, Marcel Marceau, which is not what Leonard did. Leonard took mime way beyond what Marcel Marceau did. When Marcel was brilliant at what he did, but Leonard Pitt took it to a different level, to a theatrical level that was very, very different and almost a little scary in a way. Some of his like stuff he did. Um, and so I studied with numerous people over the years. And Doug is the same way. Doug had mime training because he studied theater in college, and that was part of the curriculum. And I don't think it is anymore, unfortunately. I think most schools don't have a curriculum of mime. Most theatrical schools don't have a curriculum of makeup anymore. A good friend of mine went to studied theater at a college in North Carolina a number of years ago, and they had stopped uh, showing, teaching makeup, which is absurd because in theater you don't have a makeup artist. It has to be you. It is you. So
Right.
if you get hired in a local theatrical production of something, and you have no background in makeup, it's kind of insane. So yeah, so I think a big part of it is I just feel lucky that I, when I was coming up, they were still training in mime and physical comedy. And I also for many years did work in New York, at corporate and private parties, where we would often be brought in to perform, sometimes characters that we'd have to work out right on the fly. I remember, there'd be many different physical characters we'd have to do. Some of them were characters we'd already created, but some of them were like, this is a science fiction theme, and you have to play Data. Okay. Yeah, or whatever it, so physical work is very important. Was very important in my training.
Awesome. Is that what got you in martial arts as well, or is that?
I was always fascinated by martial arts from the time I was very young. Even years before I saw any Bruce Lee movies, I was just fascinated by karate and kung fu. I don't think I knew the word kung fu when I was real young. I don't think it was in the American language yet. But I was very lucky. I never think of myself as a martial artist. Kind of like I've had a lot of training in martial arts. I've had a lot of training in ballet, but I'm not a ballet dancer. It's like, one of my old girlfriends used to dance with Joffrey. She was a ballet dancer. I worked with, Ryan Watson was my stunt double as the Uber Vamp. He is a martial artist. Even though I do have training in, Silam Kung Fu and Ishinru Karate and Chinese Kempo and Judo and Israeli knife fighting and Kali sticks and Tai Chi. I don't think of myself as a martial artist, but it was very helpful. Even though, for instance, I had a stunt double, even though like Ryan Watson was my stunt double as the Uber Vamp, we used to jokingly say, we were the Uber brothers, because he was made up exactly like I was. He said, "I'm Uber, he's Goober." But because of my training, I was able to give a lot of input. John Medlin, the stunt coordinator, and Ryan were very generous in allowing me to sit in on all the stunt coordination that they were doing, and allowed me to put input into how do the Uber Vamp move, because my feeling was he's an animal. It should be sort of. I thought of him as kind of like the Tasmanian devil. He's like spinning.
Yeah.
Just I don't want him as a typical chop and kick vampire. And they loved that. They just thought that was a great idea. So they allowed me a lot of input. I was able to do a lot of my own stunts. There were some things that were not safe for me to do, like falling like 50 feet on a wire. That was something that Ryan did, but I was able to do like a one-handed flip into like a spinning hook kick, which they were amazed, and I was amazed too, because I hadn't done one of those in a while. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How much of you, even though you had the stunt, since you're martial arts, how much of it you did do yourself?
A lot of it. I did a lot of it. But I would because Ryan and I worked mirroring each other's movements, you'd be really hard pressed to know when it was me, when it was Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of our job, is to make sure that we're moving similarly to each other.
Right.
If you went and rewatched the episode, would you be able to tell you two apart?
There are times I do know, and other times I'm not always positive. But there are times where I knew there are sections that I knew that Ryan was in. I was like, oh, there's Ryan.
Me, Ryan Boone. It's like back and forth of the cake. Oh, me, Ryan Boone.
Yeah.
So from going out of the makeup to doing some shows, acting as different characters, how is that doing? Bay and Goodnight Burbank. for you?
The Bay and Goodnight Burbank were so much fun. I was shooting those simultaneously. It was kind of funny. I would often, shoot late at night into the night on Goodnight Burbank, and then get up early, or sometimes even go directly to the other set of the Bay, because we'd be shooting early. It was just like,
Good morning.
yeah, it was pretty crazy, and there were such different roles. The role I played on the Bay was Igor Chambers, who is this psycho maniac, who was convinced that the lead character was in love with him. And like when you first see him, he shows up at the wedding rehearsal party, with a bomb strapped to him, saying that if Dylan doesn't confess his love to me and tell everybody that he's in love with me, he's going to blow the entire party up. And everybody's like, what? It's so much fun. When I got the call from Gregory Martin for the role, he explained the role to me, and it sounded like that's so much fun. And I think he had to talk his producers into allowing me in the project, because myself and one other person were the only people that were not soap actors. The whole idea of the Bay was that he created the Bay with all these different iconic soap actors and actresses, and I was not a soap actor, so I was not known in that genre, and that was who he was. That was the audience he was trying to capture. So I was very lucky that he thought of me for the role. And for Goodnight Burbank, it's Jan Bobek, who is from he was from an Eastern Bloc country, Eastern Soviet Bloc country, who used to direct porn in communist Estonia. And he would, and his use of language was tenuous at best. He'd say things like, "Okay, now we have to do the cum shot." Everybody's like, "What?" He said, "The shot that comes next. Does nobody speak the English here?"
Or when the little sister was on set, oh, my wife was 14, or many wives.
or you say things like, in my country, the only time we preempt a program is for child sex contest. And the cast is like, I hope that's losing something in the translation. He was, and again, I was very lucky in that, Hayden Black, the producer and writer and director, well, not the director, but the producer and the creator of that show, thought of me for that role, because people don't think of me for comedic roles. Unfortunately, I love doing comedic roles. In fact, when they were having trouble casting the Prince of Lies, Rob Hall said to Jeff Bell, the showrunner for Angel, we've got Camden's molds. We could start, building his, right on, because time was ticking, and they had to have time to do the makeup, and it took extra time. If you have a new actor, you have to take a new mold of their face. And Jeff was like, "Oh, we love Camden, but can he do comedy?" And the fact is, I don't know if you remember, but the Prince of Lies, even though he's creepy, he's really the comic relief for the episode. Mm-hmm. And they know I can do creep, but they were scared that they were going to get me in the makeup, get me on set, and then I wasn't really going to understand comedy. And that does happen, for television, you don't have time to develop this stuff. So they were scared. So I was like, well, I'll audition for it, and they were like, "Oh, really? You don't mind auditioning?" Because usually after you've done a couple of roles for a show, they don't usually have you audition again. And I was like, "No, I'll audition again." So, I got to show them that I understood the comedy of the script. And so, but Hayden Black thought of me for this role, and he had me come in to do a table read with a couple of the other actors, and he loved my take on it, and I ended up, doing that role. And unfortunately, we never had a second season on that show. Yeah. It was picked up it was picked up by HDTV, and I thought for sure it was going to get like a major audience, and for some reason it never picked up an audience. It was like 3 people saw that show.
I'm one.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously, but yeah, it's an interesting story. It was actually the very first full length half-hour sitcom made for the web that was going to be on Hulu. It was originally contracted by Hulu, and this was before Hulu was doing their own shows. So it was going to be the first show that was actually going to be like a full-length sitcom made for the web on Hulu. And after it was aired, the very very first episode aired. Mark Cuban, you know who that is, right? Ultra billionaire.
Okay.
Mark Cuban saw it and contacted Hayden Black and said, like, I want to buy the whole season for HDTV. I want to buy the whole thing for my network. And that's why it ended up on HDTV. And we thought, like I said, we thought for sure it was going to get like a major audience. And it just didn't happen. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why some things catch on and some things don't.
Seems like all the good things, unfortunately, don't run long enough or get picked up. But
Yeah, but I agree there.
I don't know. It's a weird, and yet we had a good 7 seasons on Buffy, which is a great run. I mean, we were very lucky. Unfortunately, we only had 5 seasons for Angel, but still it was over 100 episodes, very healthy, even though it was, even though we thought we were going to have another season. 5 seasons is still very healthy, so
yep.
Yeah.
And seeing Juliet Landau on an episode of Goodnight Burbank was pretty funny too, and they all ate the brownies. Just great.
Everybody's tripping. I know.
It almost reminded me of Priscilla a little bit, thrown in there when she was doing that.
Yeah, Hayden actually grabbed a number of different actors and actresses from Buffy and Angel. Yeah. To be brought, and Firefly and Doll House, and he brought in a number of people. Yeah, it was a great cast. Yeah,
and even John Barrowman had his little cameo on it. He's like, "Oh, thanks."
No, stop. Yeah, he was great. He was great. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a character in real life, even at conventions and stuff.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, he really is.
I mean, I would love.
He was great. We had him on 2 episodes as a guest star. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Boom. You got your next question set there.
Yeah, on Big Bad Bugs, there's a scene like you're in the cave and you're like lying down and you get like pulled off. I was curious how they do that. They put you on like a sled or just grab you by the ankles and pull.
I don't remember how they did it. I don't know. I don't remember. I suspect they just pulled me because that was a pretty low budget. That was a low budget film.
Yes, that's true.
funny story on that. I ended up being on that show. I got a call the day before they were shooting, and they were like, I know it's kind of short notice, but would you be interested in doing a project with us? And I'm like, well, send me the script. I'll take a look, And I think what happened was they had offers out to bigger names like Michael Ironside, and I can't remember who else. And for whatever reason, people weren't getting back to them. So it was like last minute, and I think one of the producers' cousins knew me, and she like recommended me. It was and they just called me up out of the blue, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. And the funny thing is, I remember when we were doing some of the post dub, often it's not unusual in films that some of the sound for location sound is unusable for whatever reason. So we have to post dub. We have to dub in, words, phrases, sometimes entire sentences, sometimes entire, sections. And I remember they had me in to do that. And I remember I remember watching myself on the screen, and I remember turning to the director and went, I forgot how crazy I made this guy. And he was like, yep, he was pretty crazy.
Definitely made
that was a fun project with a great cast, and
yeah.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
at bringing
and
crazy to life.
to another question, do you like prefer playing characters like him where he's just like crazy, or do you like playing monsters more?
I like it all. As an actor, I mean, I know that sounds like an excuse, I think, but as an actor, I just love working. I love creating characters. I think that's the most fun. The most fun part of for me as an actor is creating the role. Like I said, like listening to the script as to what that role really needs. Um, just a funny aside, I remember shooting a film when I was living in New York, upstate New York, and I got a call for the audition, and I went in and I read, and I just felt like I wasn't connecting to the role. And I remember saying, what about this other role? I think I'd be better. And they go, no, that's already cast. And so, anyways, then I get a call back for the same role, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm not like I thought I did terrible, and they was like, thank you, and then I get cast, and I'm like, what? I was terrible in this role. What do you do? And of course, you don't want to talk yourself out of a role, because you believe me, I've done it. Unfortunately, I'm like, I'm not really right for this role. And they're like, yeah, you're right. You're not, it's like, yeah. So I learned early on to not do that. So anyway, so we're shooting in upstate New York, and it's one of the most painful experiences of my life as an actor, because I feel like I'm not connecting to the role. I just don't feel comfortable. I don't know what the hell's going on. And they're shooting and nobody's giving me direction otherwise. And I'm like, and it was only after we did the actual screening that I realized, oh, this guy is uncomfortable in his own skin.
Ah.
That's what they saw. I was uncomfortable in my own skin because I wasn't connecting to the role. Oh, so it actually was perfect.
So you connected with it, you didn't even realize it.
I guess it all works out.
You never that's exactly why I think it was Michael. It was Michael Shurtleff, a legendary casting director who discovered Barbara Streisand and numerous other people. I studied with him for a short while in New York, and he was like, don't talk yourself out of a role. I mean, you as the actor don't know. It's like, if we've had you come in, we see something you may not be seeing. So don't talk yourself out of it. Let us see it. So yeah.
There was the April Fool's movie trailer for Legend of Zelda, and at first people thought it was real because they premiered it as like a real life movie trailer. How was it that you got brought into that? I mean, it was a brief clip, but it was pretty interesting, though. How did you get
I
connected with that?
actually that actually was written and directed by Sam Balcom, who's a young, brilliant writer and director. And I've worked with him on, I think, 4 or 5 different projects over the years. He also, I don't know if you remember the movie trailer for that I did for G4 TV with Olivia Munn and Eva Muri. It was I don't know if you ever saw that one. He did that one as well. So he thought of me. He thought of me for this role, and he just called me in. I did an audition for it because he knew my work from working with him in a couple of other projects earlier. And what happened was, he was always a Legend of Zelda fan. He grew up playing Legend of Zelda, and he talked IGN and Nintendo into letting him do a trailer. And they gave him a little bit of money, but they did not figure he was going to do much. And well, he's so brilliant, he created that. And I suppose maybe it's dated, a little dated now, the CGI. But when it was released, it was very believable. I mean, it had
Oh
over
yeah.
a million hits in the first 24 hours it was up. So yeah, so that's how I worked on that, and that was amazing. I think what happened was they looked at his trailer and realized it was way too good to just post it. So they decided to hold it back for their April Fools, because IGN always does an April Fools thing. You'd think people would know after year after year of it happening, but for some reason they keep getting people. They held it back and like, oh, look at the new Zelda trailer.
At the time, I was thinking that's going to be an awesome movie. I can't wait to see this. And then,
Let me tell you, we had a lot of pissed off fans.
oh yeah, like you said, at the time though, it looked pretty good. Like it
Yeah,
was a legit movie
yeah,
trailer.
yeah.
Yeah, your little role, the hero of time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sahas. That's Sahas Rala. He's the mad monk that helps Link through his destiny.
mhm.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who I
Maybe.
who I didn't know at all. I had to do some research. They were like, "I want you to play Sahas Rala." I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?"
All right, time to go play Zelda. Or one of the gaming magazines, or whatever Nintendo had then.
Yeah, I think I researched it online. Is what I did. Yeah.
Just watch some YouTubers play the game.
You ever see that meme where it's like, "Oh, Zelda, I love that guy." It's like, no, that's the name of the princess. Link is the guy. Stupid. I was trying to find it earlier today. I might have to like purchase the DVD, but now hiring, you played a villain, Lord Menace, I believe was the name.
Lord Menace. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also, I think you can rent it on Amazon as well.
Okay, because I think I saw the second one was on there, but the Average Joe. I guess
It's the exact same film. For some reason, they remarketed it with a different title.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a sequel or something. That's why I was like, oh, I want to watch the first one first. Okay.
As far as I know, I may be wrong, but as far as I know, it's the same film that's just been remarketed with a different title. I think their distributor figured that it would do better with a different title, and they did a theatrical release for a while as Average Joe, and
Okay.
it did okay for a low budget theatrical release.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I would have watched that then.
That was a fun project. Yeah, the director Mark Cantu had just knew my work and contacted me. I think I was driving somewhere in North Carolina at the time. I was like having like North Carolina barbecue somewhere, and like I got a call from him, and hi, I got this project I want you to do. And I said, send me the script. So that was shot in Texas. Yeah, in San Antonio, I believe.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just have to watch Average Joe. I didn't realize it was the same movie, so I was going to watch it.
I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the same film, just remarketed with a different title. Check it out.
Yeah.
I may be wrong.
Definitely, yeah. They seem to do that with a bunch of titles or movies, changing titles to them to remarket them. So
yeah.
I should have known.
But was it your love of like the makeup and that was that what brought you to play monsters?
I think that certainly played a role in that, but I think it just kind of all comes together. I think it's my theatrical background, my background in martial arts, my background in makeup, my huge love of monsters, my physicality as an actor. I think it was all of it, really.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I saw in there that the European clowning and physical clowning, what's the difference? Honestly, I have no clue, but what's the difference?
Well, I say European clowning because if I say clowning, people think Ringling Brothers Bar and Baby Circus. And that, certainly there's nothing wrong with that clowning. It's just that's circus clowning, and that's not exactly what I have training in. Mine, if I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of like Bill Irwin's early work.
I'm not sure.
I think it's online. There's a he did a mostly he's just an actor now. You see him doing acting, and it's very little physicality. But early in his career, he was a clown, and he did a show called Regard of Flight that is just brilliant and silly and wonderful. And I highly recommend it. I think it's online. Regard of Flight with Bill Irwin.
Okay.
Check it
Yeah,
out.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, check that out, and that'll give you a sort of an idea of what I mean by European, or maybe I shouldn't say European clown. Maybe I should say theatrical clowning. That's a better,
Okay.
because it comes from a very specific kind of when I see theatrical, it comes from very much a character. It's character driven.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to think. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by my dog trying to keep her from barking. There's people right outside her house talking, so she might go off again.
Okay.
She doesn't let me go anywhere without her.
She's high strung, huh?
Yeah.
I was gonna, I was
I
gonna
think
say
we've
that.
covered all my questions. If you got anything, Steve.
All right, I was gonna say, since you're in makeup, have you done like on your time off, like any theater yourself, where you do makeup for anyone or your own
Um,
shows?
it's been a while since I've done any theater. Actually, I was part of. There's a theater company called Theater of Note in Los Angeles, and I was a member of Theater of Note for a number of years. And I did all my own makeup, but I didn't do other people's makeup because they all are very capable of doing their own makeup.
Right.
Yeah, so I was just doing my own makeup.
I see we got another guest joining us.
What a
I
beautiful dog!
keep her entertained for a little bit.
She's beautiful.
But have you seen the movie Good Boy? It's on Hulu.
No.
But she resembles like the dog that's in
Oh,
that.
it does.
So when I did a review on that, I took a picture, but the other dog just has one eye patch. She has both.
Oh,
But I took a picture trying to like recreate the poster art.
It does look like Good Boy
Yeah.
with the
And
killer
I made her
dog.
sit in my lap during the whole thing.
oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But yeah, she's my little munchkin.
She's great. How many pounds is she?
About 25, maybe a couple pounds over. I know she's not over 30 unless she's gained a lot of weight since last time she's been to the vet. But yeah, she's
Wow.
full grown. She's like 5.
She's beautiful.
I figured they'll keep her out of the window.
That dog. How much is that doggy in the window? Any clown characters that you've seen in movies that you would have wanted to portray? And what are some of your favorite clown movies?
Some of my favorite what movies?
Clown movie or evil clowns, or is there any evil clown you wish you could have portrayed?
Well, it is, the new It movies are pretty phenomenal what they're doing. I love what they did with those.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I love roles like that where you can use language and physicality so much, Yeah.
Yeah, and he could do crazy things with his eyes, without, having to do CGI and all that.
Yeah, they did a lot of CGI. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like those movies. I hate that people hate on it just because it's a remake.
Really well made.
Yes, it is.
Really well made. Yeah, I was surprised. I generally am not a big fan of remakes either, but
Yeah.
Any upcoming projects or anything you can let us know about?
Well, I shot a film called Boogeyman a while back, which has not been released yet. It was written and directed by my good friend James Bills, and it's starring Yancey Butler, who you probably know her from Witchblade.
Mm-hmm.
She's wonderful. Yeah, so that's going to be coming up. I'm not sure when that's going to be released, but I ended up playing 2 different roles in that film. I play what they call the Shape, which is this sort of boogeyman kind of character, which you only sort of see his shape, periodically throughout it. And then I play this old prospector, this old gold prospector from the 1800s, which I just love that James thought of me for both roles. I just was like,
I saw that on an Internet Movie Database but it didn't have a date. It just said Boogeyman, the shape,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to try to keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, I think on IMDb they don't credit me for the prospector, which is okay. I mean, because the film hasn't come out yet, so. But I ended up playing both roles, and that was really fun. I also did a project a while back that's still available on Hulu. Blumhouse's series Into the Dark. It's a episode called Uncanny Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a group of college students on Halloween night playing this board game that is very evil, and they can't stop the game, otherwise they'll all die. And it's really, really fun, really well made. Adelaide Kane, who was also in Rain, she was one of the stars of Rain, the television show Rain, is in it. And that I play this kind of poltergeist-esque character called the Prankster.
Okay.
Yeah, they originally were thinking of kind of a CGI character, kind of like some of the ghosts in Ghostbusters, but the director remembered me from, he met me in London years ago and showed a picture of me to the producers and was like, well, how about this guy instead of like a CGI character? And they were like, yeah. So I was probably doing something creepy in the photo, so.
Most likely.
Yeah, most likely. That's me. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. It was which episode? Uncanny Annie?
Yeah, it's Uncanny Annie.
Uncanny Annie. It's like the show is called Into the Dark. It's Blumhouse's producing
different like holiday movies that they have going on. Yeah.
They're not really holiday.
I think there weren't there a couple of ones like Thanksgiving one and Christmas. They like released certain ones, and there was one that I did a review on called "I'm Just Fucking With You," where it was like a prankster psycho. It's that series.
Yeah, it's like those movies, but I wouldn't say they're all holiday movies. But yeah, because I was about ready to watch Uncanny Annie, but I ran out of time.
It's what it is. The premise of the series is that they have a film for every month, and it's themed for that month. So
yeah, that's what it was.
November is Thanksgiving, December is Christmas, October is Halloween. So yeah, so I don't know what 4th of July and July, so yeah, each day. So they did a different one every month. Is what that's the whole premise. Yeah.
So I'll definitely have to go back and check that one out for sure.
Yeah, the Into the Dark movies are really good. I didn't get a chance to watch that one, unfortunately. I really wanted to. It's been on my watch list for like ever, and I was like, I'll get it watched this week. And then we had internet issues. I was like, man, I can't watch it. I don't have time to. But yeah, the Into the Dark series. So I imagine this movie is just as good as the rest of them.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Well, let's see. It has been over an hour. You're welcome to stay any longer, or if you have to go, that's fine. And if you want to plug anything else, or that was it, or stick around and chat some more, it's up to you.
Well, I can stick around for a few more minutes. I'm,
right.
I just for those of you in the UK, I am going to be appearing at Sean Harry's Vampire Ball in is it November? It's November 5th through the 7th, and that's going to be in London. That's it's Star Fury's Vampire Ball. So I hope to see.
That sounds amazing, a Vampire Ball.
Vampire Ball.
I never heard of that before. That sounds amazing.
They got a great lineup. It's mostly people from Buffy and Angel, but there's a few people from like Firefly and Dollhouse, and like Miracle Laurie from Dollhouse will be there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
I missed that show. That was such a great show.
Oh yeah. It was
Dollhouse, Firefly, all those.
Yeah.
It's like, bring them back, or at least one movie, just to like sum it up. I mean, they're bringing back so many shows and movies anyway. Why not?
Well, that's what they did with Firefly. They summed it up with the
movie.
film, with the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
they did make a movie that
a leaf on the wind. That was brutal. Joss does that. He always, certain characters don't get too invested with them. They might.
Yeah, I think it was Joss that said that if when he gets that reaction from the fans, how could you kill that person? Then he's like, he says like, I know I did the right thing.
Like with him, I take that inspiration for The Walking Dead too.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I'm in big with The Walking Dead. I've never really watched the other shows, but yeah, they kill off so many characters in that one. You're like,
oh yeah, yeah.
I've literally cried a couple times.
So what else has been going on? Anything interesting, or maybe something you can tell us that we may not know about you, whether it be hobbies or interests that we may not know?
I have a couple of things, actually. I just finished my master's degree in clinical psychology.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
I am now officially a psychotherapist.
That's interesting. Must help with roles.
You could really literally get in people's head.
So I'm officially a psychotherapist now, and I started a little over a half year ago. I started the MFA program in screenwriting at Antioch University, Santa Barbara. So I'm working on some screenwriting right now, because I had always wanted to do that, and I was introduced to the head of the program when I was doing my bachelor's degree, actually, at Antioch. And I decided, after I finished my master's degree in clinical psychology, that I would pursue screenwriting as well. So I'm doing that along with that. So I'm seeing clients and I'm doing screenwriting.
Awesome.
All right. So hoping maybe we'll see something of yours out soon.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you have to let us know.
Yeah, I'm mostly concentrating on television, pilots. I wrote a pilot about a family of coal miners last semester, and it's a three generations of coal miners. The youngest is the daughter. She's like 20, in her early 20s, and she gets trapped in the mine with her crew, and her father, the coal mining supervisor, has to rush against time to get them out of there. So, and this all happens on the day of the funeral, the mother's funeral, her mother's funeral. So it's very sad, Yeah.
Awesome. We'll have to keep an eye out for that stuff and promote it around. Let people know when it comes out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right. It was great seeing you again, and thanks for taking the time to come on out.
Yeah, I really like I said, I appreciate it.
Really nice meeting you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. You have a great night.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, he's back.
He doesn't want to leave. Go ahead, bottom. He's teasing us, that psychology on us. Oh boy,
that was great.
Yeah, he was so much fun. Going to BuffyCon, seeing him. Oh. Oh, I see you got your Monster Vision shirt on.
Oh yeah,
Joe Bob.
Hell yeah. I just bought me a new Joe Bob shirt yesterday. I won't get it till later this month, but yeah, so that'll be like my 5th one, I think, count my Darcy shirt.
The mail girl.
Hell yeah.
There was I don't know if you had put it on private or something. Were you doing like a video news or something? Or there was some video I was going to check out earlier in the week on YouTube, and I guess it wouldn't play. I don't know if that was like a practice video that you were doing or.
Well, I have the news up that I posted on Friday, but the only one I privated was, I think the news posted early than what it was supposed to because I was trying to schedule it on the computer and normally I schedule.
Oh, one of those.
So it posted like a couple hours before I wanted it to, so I had to reschedule and then it posted again a couple hours later. But other than that, the only video I've privated lately was the one I did with Vince and my friend Jerry when we played Friday the 13th because I got a copyright claim on it. It picked up the TV in the background, so it's saying I played a whole episode of Star Trek.
Right.
So I'm trying to fix that right. Well, when I have time, I haven't had time, but when I get time, I'm going to try to fix that and so it can go back up. So I don't know if I can or not since it's background noise. So, and I don't have the original copy. So since it was a live event and I didn't record it, I should have recorded it so I'd have an original copy, but I didn't know that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's probably what it was, just rescheduled earlier or whatever, because I thought it said the news and I was going to check it out.
Yeah, if it was the news, it just posted, went live like a couple hours after. I didn't think it actually posted and I thought I caught it in time, but if it was the news, that's what happened. It just, I filmed it at like 3:00, so we was going to go shopping. And I filmed it at 3 and I like posting at 5 because that seems like a good time to have news. So I was like, no, I don't want you to go on yet. So I scheduled it to go off at 5.
Right.
But yeah, it's up now. I don't know how. I only had one view the last time I checked.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was going to, and I don't know. I've been watching stuff and then watching my other shows besides stuff that I was watching. So fun week. I was sick too. So unfortunately, I think I told you I ended up not going to Camp Daniel Morgan, which was kind of a bummer. But
Right.
oh well, at least it wasn't COVID, so that's good. But yes,
Yeah.
it's like Friday or late Thursday night till almost like Tuesday, Wednesday. I was just like couldn't sleep. I was just all out of it, so didn't really
Well, at least
focus
it's
much
over
on
with
it.
now. Yeah, but at least it's over with now.
Yeah. Apparently, my aunt and uncle were sick for a few weeks themselves. Luckily, I wasn't sick that long, but they were sick for a few weeks. So, pretty much, whether COVID or not, I guess still that season. So,
Right. I just seen that Doomsday said that Tim Curry was a better Pennywise, in my opinion. I agree, Tim Curry is a better one, but
yeah.
I think Bill Skarsgård did a decent one. So I'm not saying that he was better at all, but I think the version that they did holds up on its own. I wouldn't like, even though it's the same movie, you can compare them, but they're both acting the way they feel Pennywise is going. But yeah, I don't say that Bill Skarsgård is better than Pennywise. Tim Curry definitely is better Pennywise, but I do like the new movies. I hate seeing people hate on them just because they're remakes. Yeah, they have kind of heavy CGI, but I think Bill Skarsgård did a really good job.
Yeah. It says everybody loves Tim Curry. I mean,
yeah. But unfortunately, he's in a wheelchair now, so he can't be Pennywise anymore. So
yeah.
we gotta pass the baton on eventually, and I think Bill Skarsgård did a really good job, especially with that freaky thing he could do with his eyes.
Yeah. Because I think they even showed him. I've seen like pictures of him like before he put on the it makeup and everything too. They did like a side by side of how he could portray Pennywise.
And then his real life brother, if you saw the Stand remake that they did, he played Randall Flagg.
Yep.
And it's hard to tell that they're brothers. They look so different.
Yeah. Of course, he was on. His brother was on True Blood also, and then
yeah, well, I never watched that. So the only thing I had to compare it to.
But that's kind of interesting. They're both in Stephen King movies, though.
That is true. That is true.
actually didn't even realize until this moment when you said that. I'm like, that's right, it's brother. And yeah, the new Stand. I mean, I think I still like the original Stand
Oh,
better. I
definitely.
mean,
I
yeah,
had some issues with the remake. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it was okay, but it was nothing compared to the original. Nothing. And I watched every episode, and I didn't have the same feeling that I did watching the original movie.
yeah.
But there was some, I'll say, characters in that I just really despise.
And some of the way they changed the characters too was like,
Yeah.
nah, that's just weird. I don't know.
And some of the characters you despised, you wasn't supposed to despise. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that one. I mean, it was
Yeah,
all right, but I probably will never watch it again. I probably will never own it. I probably will never watch it again. I have the Stand on DVD, the original one, but I probably will never own or anything the remake.
yeah.
I just wouldn't for me.
Can't be the original one. That I think.
Right. Especially Joe Bob was in the original. I mean, come on. No. I mean, he was, but that's not like the driving force. I'm just saying. I figure out Joe Bob is just so obsessed.
Yo, Joe. I think was there something some new ones soon he was supposed to do on the drive-in on Shutter or
They haven't announced anything yet, but they'll probably be doing something soon.
yeah.
But
I mean, I
unless they
figured it.
announce something on Patreon, but they haven't officially announced. I know nothing's coming in September because Shutter's already released what's coming out in September, and there's no Joe Bob. So maybe I have an October special because they've had
Probably.
two so far. So they'll probably keep that tradition and have a October special.
Mhm.
But I know there's nothing in September because it wasn't on the list.
I think did he do a Society one? I'm trying to
Yes.
remember. He did because I'll have to, I think I'll watch that one when I rewatch it. That way I'll have him in between there.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Of
did.
course
That's the first time I ever watched Society.
that
Was
is
when he played that.
a weird ass movie.
Definitely.
Literally.
It is definitely a weird ass movie, but yeah, that was the very first time I'd seen it. There's a lot of movies I'd seen for the first time that he's played, but yeah, I've never seen that before, and that was definitely interesting. But I'm kind of glad I watched it through him. There's like a lot of movies I'm glad that I watched first time with him. You get a lot of information with
Mhm.
it, like Cannibal Holocaust. I've never seen until he played it, and I probably would have never watched it either with the real life animal violence. But
The turtle, yeah.
yeah, at least they would give like, well, it was on Twitter, but Darcy would send out, okay, this is a warning, this is coming up, and
Mhm.
whatnot. But so at least we had somewhat of a heads up of what was coming up.
Mhm. Yeah, that definitely did not need to be in the movie. Or even if it wasn't in the movie, doesn't need to happen in real life either. That was just crazy what they did
Yeah.
there.
Even though I heard that they give the meat to the tribes out there, but it's still, they didn't have to like torture.
Yeah. It's like make it quick. You don't need the torture.
Right. But I'm probably not going to be on too much longer. There's no air conditioning in this room and I'm dying. Plus, our guests are here.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to go ahead and head out, well, I guess we can just cut it early tonight. Fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I might eat something before I back to work tomorrow. So
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if our guests are staying for dinner. I'm assuming since they drove 3 hours to come up, but because they're from back home. But yeah, it's kind of hot in here. I got a fan and a window open, but I know if I'm hot, my dog's boiling.
with all that fur, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's very thick coat. She's part husky, so she's very thick coated.
All right, so yeah, next week we'll see what we got planned, and then of course Saturday, September 4th, we're going to be doing two shows. One at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Nicholas Vince, since he's over in London, 5 hour time difference. We went ahead and scheduled around for him, and then at 7 from Society we'll have Brian Bremer. and Pumpkinhead and Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. So we'll be discussing those.
And the voice of Nick on the Walking Dead Season 2 video game.
Yes, can't leave out Nick.
I never played the video game, but since I'm huge in Walking Dead, I figure I better promote that.
Promote The Walking Dead.
Definitely. So many people hate on it anymore, which I kind of see because it's been going on for so long, but I think a lot of people miss the concept. They think it's supposed to be about the zombies, but it's supposed to be about the people living in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And the people are the actual, even like Rick said in one of the earlier seasons, I don't remember, I can't recall which one, but I think it was when they first got to Alexandria, he made the whole speech about the people are the Walking Dead, not the zombies. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll still watch. I'll probably watch all the spin-offs, even though some of them are getting kind of boring to me, but
I think they canceled the Beyond the Walking Dead, the kid one. I don't think it's
yeah,
coming
the
back.
kid one was only supposed to go on for I think 1 or 2 seasons, something like that. And Fear, there's nothing announced about that, but this season of The Walking Dead is the last.
This is the last. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
and then
it showed the first one. It was interesting so far, so we'll see. I
and
watched it the other day.
and then they're supposed to have a spin-off with Carol and Daryl, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's filmed or anything, so I don't know when or if that would be coming. I heard there was going to be a Negan one too, where his son is going to play him, but it's just, I'll call it rumors because I don't remember what site I got it off of how valid it is. Because I don't like saying something that is if I haven't like researched to make sure it's
not,
valid.
sure.
But, yeah,
I've heard also that they do want to do the Carol and Daryl one. But.
Yeah. Yeah, they've actually talked about that on like the Talking Dead and stuff like that. So I know that's a valid claim, but I say I've heard about the Negan spinoffs, but I can't validate that one. But there's supposed to be a Negan spinoff where his son plays him. I'm assuming his son looks really a lot like him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him, so I don't know. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I do have an unboxing video that I filmed, but I haven't edited it yet, so I don't know when it's going to post because I wasn't expecting to have company. Nothing's wrong with having company. I wasn't prepared. Apparently, he knew about it, and I found out at 2:00 today. So
thanks for the heads up. Nothing's ready.
Yeah, and I made the whole effort of coming upstairs, and they've literally been outside the front. That's why she keeps barking because they're standing. Because the room I'm in faces the front of the house, so they're literally standing on the ground right underneath me. And I was like, I could have been downstairs on my computer in the air conditioning, but no, they stayed outside the front of the house. It's like, really? I made all this effort so you guys could come in and whatever. This is my life.
Gotta love it.
Right.
Like, I just can't win. I go to accommodate and you just do the complete opposite.
Right. And that's why, well, she would have came in here with me either way. She has to follow me everywhere, but that way she wouldn't be freaking out with them down there. There she goes again. She sees the strangers.
Strangers in the window.
Yeah, because she could see them down on the ground. Because we're up in the top level of the house. But yeah, I better go and visit with them. I don't know how long they're going to stay.
All right, then. Well, next week, and we'll just figure out what's going on and tune in next week. And then the 4th, like I said, Nicholas Vince at 2 and Brian Bremer at 7:00. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.